Hi, Anna. Thanks so much for meeting with me today. So this is Anna. She was working with Sanal for a few months and learning his Spiritualogic method. So just wanted to ask a few questions about your experience, how it was for you, how it kind of impacted your life. So we'll go ahead and jump right in, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Okay, so what would you say was like your biggest challenge in your life, like before you met Sanal and started working with Sanal?
Okay, my biggest challenge was that it was pain and the way that I could not handle pain of my whole body. It was very difficult for me to move, like I had the pain in all my joints. And the thing is that, the pain is still there, but I don't feel myself like a victim of this condition. Before I met Sanal, I felt like, I suffered a lot. Now it's different. I see it a little bit differently. There's just pain, but I don't suffer anymore. So I think this was the biggest challenge. So yeah, pain, but also the way how I was thinking about pain. Sometimes I had thoughts like, why it happened to me. I will probably never understand why it happened to me. And that's actually not very important to know why. The important thing is to understand what I can do to live better with this condition.
That's awesome. And did you ever like try any sort of meditation or like spiritual practices before to like kind of handle or cope with this pain?
Yeah, I did try. I did some therapy. I did some meditation as well. Everything that happened before I met Sanal was just, preparing me for this meeting as well. Because without doing this job before, I wouldn't be open for his teachings. Because to me, it would be like some woo, I don't know what he's talking about. So I guess it was, it's a long journey. It's probably a lifelong journey of learning things or living with some condition, like the condition that I have, for example. So as I said, I did some meditation, like I did the mindfulness course, and it was very helpful. Yeah, it just changed the way how I was seeing pain, but I don't think it was as powerful as the way Sanal explained the things to me. It helped me just to prepare for this meeting.
That's awesome. Yeah, because sometimes you might not be like open or interested in like learning about spirituality if it's like totally new.
I think it could be like that. But for me, it was definitely easier for me to absorb whatever he's talking about. Mm-hmm. It could be probably difficult for him to talk to my mom. Her mindset is totally different. But I think all the things that I did before were just opening my perspective.
That's awesome. So what would you say was your biggest kind of aha moment when you started learning from him? Is there something that sticks in your mind that was really useful or mind-opening?
Yeah, I will never forget this moment. We've been sitting there, by the sea. It was a beautiful sunny day. I was in pain. I didn't feel very comfortable with my body at that moment. We've been just sitting there together, and he was talking about something. It was, beautiful moment. And then suddenly, he said, try to see the beauty of the world through pain. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I started to cry because it's there is no, it's not possible to see beauty of the world through pain. It's but then after, a while of crying, I realized that how powerful it is. I think it was this moment where I changed the perspective. Then I started to, maybe a little bit much to say that I started to enjoy the pain, but I definitely started to enjoy my life more, even though there was still pain in my body. But I started to see, that there is world around me, and it's beautiful, and it's not all about this feeling in my body. There are more beautiful things, I guess. So yeah, this was the moment where I started to breathe like deeper. At some point I was angry, because angry at him, because I couldn't understand. I didn't understand what he said, but then it changed a little bit. I keep coming back to this moment, and I still hear him saying this sentence, like, see the beauty of the world through pain.
So, like, overall, how do you feel that you've like changed or like transformed after working with Sanal, after like learning all of these things and integrating it into your life?
Whenever I feel insecure or whenever I have these anxiety moments, it happens when, there are too many thoughts around in my head. I always keep asking myself the questions that he taught me. Like, the questions are very powerful, and the most powerful one is that, are you really sure? Like, am I sure that whatever happens, whenever I feel like sad, I ask myself these questions. Is that really true? What I'm thinking about now, is it really true? How can I know that it's true? I can't. So this helps me a lot. So asking questions. This is the most powerful tool, I guess. And it brings also a little, like, it's not suddenly life, it's more light. It's not that heavy when I ask these questions. And I can have this moment to breathe deeper. And sometimes, thanks to these questions, I also start, to see myself like from a perspective and like a little bit laugh. Because like, so why am I doing this again? So questions. Questions are the solutions for everything.
Yeah, like this inner questioning of just asking yourself, is this really true, or am I just making this up?
Yeah, exactly. And seems like I'm making this up, like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. This also goes to the statement, like, we are creators of our own reality. So if I want to be this creator, and I really believe that I do create my own world, then I want this world to be a happy place.
So I know, like, with you and Eileen, y'all were basically just like meeting with Sanal pretty much every day for like a couple of hours. Could you just like explain a little bit about like, and this was going on for, I think, like 2 or 3 months. What was kind of like the process of like working with him and learning from him, just to kind of like give some context to like other people? Like, was it something where like each day you were learning like new things that builded on the other things that he already taught, or was it also just like a lot more talking about things and working on things that were like more relevant to your life and your experience at that moment? What was like the process kind of like?
At the beginning he was just talking about different topics, and then after some time I realized that I might start asking my questions about my life. So I think there was a lot of repetition. Sanal, by answering my question, he was repeating the things that he was talking the other day. But I think that's how it works. Sometimes, to rewire your brain, you need to hear some things many times. So like one day it will just, something will switch in your brain and you will start thinking differently about the thing. So he's very patient. Thanks to this, he was, able sometimes, using different words or different examples explaining same thing. But after some time, he was revealing like wisdom that he has, and it was, going deeper. I'm not sure if everyone, I wish to everyone to have like 2-3 months and having enough time to spend 2-3 hours every day for 2-3 months with him. And I always thought about myself that I'm a quick learner, but when it comes to my life and my mindset, apparently I need like more time. I need to hear like some things many times until I started to live these things, not only like hear them, but actually started to implement them in my life. The first thing when I woke up before meeting Sanal, it was like, oh my God, why again? And then, thanks to these questions that he taught me, like it was like, okay, I wake up, I feel the pain, but what do I want to create here? Like just being curious. That was also a very powerful thing. Just be curious about what happens in my body. And then, it's not that like heavy. It's not that strong anymore, the feelings in my body. And also it helps with thoughts a lot. I believe the way how I think about pain, it also makes pain stronger or a little bit lighter. So
you were in India for like so many months, and you were like going through all of this process and like transformation. So whenever you went home, like back to Poland, did you feel different? Did your family and friends like see you differently? Like, how would you say you kind of changed since that time?
I mean, that's a trap with thinking that people will see me differently. And I was thinking like, okay, I'm coming back from India. I'm, very spiritual person now. And I will be just sharing the wisdom that I've learned. I came here and the reality hits like very strong. It was very like difficult moment and like difficult time for me to adjust from the Indian reality of, having this freedom of walking by the sea and enjoying this beautiful time there. And then being back in Poland, it was winter time. It was dark and cold, but I had like a lot of support from my family and from my friends. They helped me a lot to adjust, like to land on this in my homeland. I felt like I forgot about everything what happened in India. I needed some time to bring these teachings again to my life. When I was feeling very bad, after a few weeks, I started to realize, so what am I doing again? Like, why is this happening again? Why do I feel so bad? Why do I have so many bad thoughts that just make me unhappy? And I came back to my notes. I came back reading to all the notes that I did during the meetings with Sanal, and everything started to come back to me. And since like maybe it was like in January, something like that, so I came back to Poland in December, and end of January, it was a long process of adjusting. End of January, I started to remember the things that I learned. Since that moment, I started to feel like my life is going back in my happy place. I'm not suffering anymore. It was my choice. Either I'm gonna suffer or I'm just gonna do something with my life. Since that time, I keep reading the notes like once a week, like a reminder. And of course, I keep asking the questions because they are very, very powerful. It was, being back in Poland, I felt like I don't know, it was kind of a blackout or something. I don't know. I think it was all about the emotions. It was very like coming back to my old life. And also the expectations, like coming back from India, I thought that suddenly, everything changes. But it's my choice. Every day when I wake up, it's my choice how I want to feel, how I want to, behave, how I want to see the world. And I just forgot about this for some time.
It's good that you can like come back to it and keep remembering these things, because I know like also from so much time in India, so many people are like, oh, it feels so amazing, and then when you go home it's like this sort of big shock. So that's kind of the goal of what Sanal has developed, is like how to create like a form of spirituality that people can always refer back to and like really integrate into their life, so they're not just like stuck in this like chasing after the bliss, and then they have to go back to their life and then they're chasing again back for it. So it's good that you can just refer to some of these notes and points and just like keep bringing it back into your day-to-day reality.
And I remember Eileen was telling me, so because I texted her like, I feel so bad again. I want to go back to India, I want to feel happy again. And she said, so just text Sanal. He will probably help you. And I felt like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I felt like there was this, I don't know, inner voice that was keeping me from being happy. I don't know why. But yeah, we managed to have, since I'm back in Poland, we managed to have one call. It was also a very good reminder of all the teachings. It was good. Even though it was online, but it was still good.
So I guess like what kind of advice would you give to someone who's maybe also just like struggling with coping with things in their life that are like completely out of their control? It's not like something they can change. How would you like advise people going through this kind of situation to kind of get through it based off of what you learned from Sanal?
I think the most important thing is that it's our choice how we want to live our life. It's really powerful. Whatever condition people may have, it's always our choice how we want to feel going through this difficult time in our life or whatever happens. Yeah, just to believe that it happens for a reason. It's always for our benefit, even though it may be very painful.
I think you kind of went over everything. I was just going to say like one more sort of thing, like in terms of just how you would handle like challenges now. Like I know you said you just kind of like refer back to the notes and ask yourself these questions. What is like the main sort of difference in how you would handle challenges now versus like before you met Sanal?
Before, I would just dive into my difficult emotions, like dive into my thoughts and forget that I am the creator, that I have this power to change the way how I see things. So after knowing these questions that I can ask, remembering that whatever happens, I may be curious about this situation. What do I want to create in this moment? Or is it really true that whatever I'm thinking about this situation, is it really true? So knowing these questions, so whatever happens now in my life, I use these questions and this helps me to break this stream of thoughts, of negative thoughts, and going, these thoughts can take me into a very dark place. So thanks to these questions, I can just stop and look at the situation from a perspective. This is the moment where I can just change the way how I'm thinking about the situation, and definitely it gives me more happy results of the situation. Of course, I don't have a control over what happens in the world, whatever people will say, but I have control over like how I can react to this situation. And these questions help me to just stop and look and think about it. In most cases, I don't go into these very dark places of my mind.
Yeah, so the biggest difference is now you don't go down this rabbit hole of like all the dark emotions that just kind of pull you farther down. You can just ask questions that allow you to sort of shape your reality in a way that you're choosing how you want to see things.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this is just from you guys are meeting every morning at the coffee shop for like 2 to 3 hours. And I think this kind of conversational learning can be really powerful because then you can actually practice these things. You're not just like, hearing something and then you're like, okay, how does that apply to me? You're like hearing things and applying them into your life and your situations and challenges. So I guess last thing just wanted to ask is like, first of all, would you recommend for other people to work with Sanal in order to like learn about spirituality and how it can impact their life? And, what would you say to them? Maybe if they're like not sure if they, want to actually learn these things and integrate into their life, like what would you say to them?
Totally, I would recommend it, and it may change your life. I hope it won't take you that much time as it took me to implement it in my life. Trust the process. Everything happens for a reason as well, and I'm sure that hearing the perspective of Sanal, how you can create your own world, it may be, it will definitely be beneficial for your life, and it will make life better, not that difficult.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Anna, for all of your insight and for like sharing your experiences, and just glad to hear how all of this stuff made an impact like in the long term. But yeah.